going back to like growing up in church, I know that like evil was brought into this world. God created a perfect world, and we in sin entered, and since then there's been pain and suffering. But I guess if you didn't know that backstory, it'd be a lot rougher to answer, because there's also the question of like, if God is good, or God is good, so why do bad things happen to good people? And I think those kind of go hand in hand, and they're questions that are really hard to answer. That like, I don't know if I could give an answer that would satisfy somebody if they were asking. But I think the thing that I would say is that, you know, God doesn't give us anything we can't handle, and even though we'll go through trials and loss and pain, you know, it says that in the Bible that trials, count it as joy when you encounter trials because it produces steadfastness. I don't know if that's exactly the same prompt that you were asking me off of, but I mean, that's just what comes to mind for me, because there's no, I don't know if there's a perfect answer to that question. It's really one that you gotta kind of interpret yourself, I think.
I feel like there's always good in any situation, no matter how hard it'll get, like Charlie said. That's kind of how I live my life. You know, I'm not religious either, but like, I take pride in how happy I make bad situations, and I know everyone can't do that, but I kind of try to make an effort to do it, so like I can see it a little more sometimes. It's like, even though you're having a really crappy day, you know, you're still gonna have another day tomorrow, and you're gonna be fine. You know, it's just time heals, and it's not gonna like nothing that terrible is gonna warrant anything but, you know, good after an amount of time.
I think the rejoice, like why consider it joy in those moments, is because we have a God who came to earth, who suffered himself. Out of all the things that Jesus could have come as, could have come as a king. That's what people were expecting him to come as. A man who was just, you look at his life and people treated him like dog poop, dude. Like, not only like through his life, but he faced the wrath of God after living a perfect life himself. And he served. He served others. He went to other people in the lowest of their lives. He went to people who were facing maybe not exactly the same things that we're talking about, but people who were down on their luck. And that's who he went to. He wasn't, the people he was with, weren't these people who were, I've got it all figured out. He went to the people who didn't. And I think that there's something to say about that, and the suffering of when he was here, that's who he went to, and that's who he came to save and to lead. And I think that's true in all of us. Like, no matter how much pain we talk about it and suffering that we go through, he came and he bore that all on himself. And unlike us, where we all have baggage that we could be like, okay, like honestly, like there's moments like, I deserve that. And then, like, sure, there are those moments where like, wow, this is, like, I know like I've messed up, but this is really like heavy. He came and it was completely unwarranted. He's God. Like, and that happened to him. And so he shares that pain. And I think that's really where in those moments, why we should rejoice in that is that we have a God who understands. And we have a God who came to assure us that regardless of that pain, he's still up there and loves us and knows us by name. Not just like us as like mankind, but he knows you, he knows you, he knows you. He knows me. Regardless of even if you're Christian or not. Just the people of the world. That's who he calls to be with him. And I think that there's a lot to be said behind it.
Yeah, kind of like how you said, finding that joy through the pain. When you were talking about earlier, like community, and one thing that I've always respected with Christians and the Christian faith is that like rich sense of community. And for like going back to the Michigan State event, after like the day after or a couple days after, you just see all these like beautiful flowers on the Michigan State statue right in front of their campus, and everyone coming together in that sense of community. It's moments like that where I'm like, okay, even though this terrible, awful thing happened, there is something joyous going on afterwards. You could say that about like 9/11. The sense of like unity after that was crazy. I don't know if you've experienced anything like that after then, but it's like, yes, there is pain, but there obviously is some joy that is created afterwards, and I think that's awesome to see. When my little cousin, his name was Shay, when he passed away, he had a virus, and it was just spontaneous out of nowhere. I feel like our family was never like, we were so close after that event. You know, people that never talked to each other were talking to each other, and it was amazing to see, because the day prior I was like bawling my eyes out, because he was like one of my best friends. He was like this little kid, he looked up to me. We even wore like the same costume Halloween one year, but like, it's stuff like that, like you see, okay, like something can happen, like that joy is still present, even when those like dark times are there. It's seeing like the good side, and I think that can be said with almost anything, so yeah.